Okay, so the last thing we covered in the last video was basically the navigation, getting that dialed in, and kind of working with this button in the navigation and getting that dialed in. But now we're actually going to kind of work on actually editing your pages of your site. And we'll go through page by page and actually click edit with Elementor. So we could do that from the home page. We can go to services and then go to this page and actually edit with Elementor here and actually be able to edit all of this content separately. Same with the about, pricing, contact pages. Each one of these we can go at the page level and edit with Elementor. But we're actually just going to focus on the home page for now. So if we click on home, this is the page that we're going to be focusing in on. And then just edit with Elementor. So this will pull up the Elementor Editor. And I'm just going to kind of go over some of the general things to know about Elementor. So one thing to note is that, if you want to edit something, you can click on it in this right-hand area, and it'll show up over here. So, and it'll tell you what you're editing. So I'm editing this heading. This is also a heading, so edit heading. We can change the title here. Now I click on here. This is a, edit text editor. They're calling this a text editor. It's actually, a paragraph here. If I want to edit this button, I can click on the button. So edit button. So it kind of tells you, when you click over here, it gives you some more options over here and tells you what you're editing. And you can also edit entire sections. So these blue things are sections. If you hover over them, it kind of tells you edit section, add section, delete section. So if we want to edit this section, we can click here. You can also right click. But so here is, edit section. We can edit that pretty easily. There's also some styling we can go into. This is actually where the image is on this top section. So we can edit that. We can change that image potentially. You might want to just kind of look around in here and see, these different tabs up in here. But that's basically kind of how it looks. You can also edit columns. So this is 3 columns here. So if we click on that, we can see edit column up here. It tells us what we're editing, and you can change some of the different things in here. We can change the background image under style. We can make it just a gradient instead of a classic image. It looks like there's a slideshow option here. So yeah, and the background overlay color, we can change that. So right now it's kind of a black color, but we can change it to like pink or blue pretty easily. And that's basically that color that kind of is overlaid on top of the background color. So basically that's kind of in a nutshell how it works. We'll actually get in here and actually start making some changes here. But I just wanted to kind of go over the basic elements that you can edit. So sections, different elements like H1s and paragraphs and buttons, and also columns are editable. Another thing that I kind of wanted to show you, or just kind of reiterate, is if you want to, say you want to move your columns around, I already showed you this before, but just to kind of show you again, we can actually reorder these things really easily by clicking and dragging. And also same thing with sections. You can click on these sections, click them, hold them down and drag them up to order those differently. So let's say if I want this up, oops, sorry, that's my trackpad once again. So let's say I want this above this section. So just kind of wait till you get that highlighted area and it'll move it up there. And if you want to delete a section, just push the X button, or if you need to add more sections, there's the add there. So also, let's say you want to add another section completely from scratch. So instead of going into the S like we did before, we can actually just click on this plus button and we can create a section from scratch. And the first thing that they ask you is select your structure. So maybe we just want 1 column or 2 columns or 3 columns. So if we look above here, we can see that this is actually 3 columns, 1, 2, 3. Look above here, this is one column here. This is 1, 2, 3 columns. This is 1, 2 columns, so one on the left, one on the right, and then this is one column here. So just wanted to show you that. That's how it works. I'm just going to do one column. And so you can see here it is, this new section that we created, but it's empty. But we can easily add elements to it by clicking on this little grid icon. And basically, we can add all sorts of different things. We can add a heading, text editor, which is basically a text box, you know, buttons, videos, images, spacers, dividers, Google Maps, icons, forms. So this might be under the Pro section. Might not be as easy to bring those in. General stuff. So it might be good for you to just kind of look through here and see what's available to you. Social icons, so if I want to bring these in, I can click and drag those in. And then I can click on these, and to edit them, you know, there's a pencil here too that you can click on. And here we can add in, you know, a Facebook icons, Twitter. You can delete them. You know, you can style them, and advanced, you know, go to the advanced section, see what else we got under advanced. And you can basically do that to basically any section. There's a layout style and advanced area for everything on the page. Basically, yeah, that's basically it. Now that you kind of know the general idea behind this, we can really get into the nuts and bolts. Okay, so maybe I don't want this here. We should be able to delete this and then add another section on top of that. I'm going to add a one column section, and maybe let's go back into this kind of dotted line menu where we can pull in different things into our new section that we created that's empty right now. There's a plus here, but let's say I want to add in a heading. So here's the heading text here. You can also just click it here and type in hello there. So if you can see that it's all lowercase, but even though I actually technically might want it to be all uppercase, or maybe just title cased, and for some reason the default is overwriting my actual text that I want, the styling on my text. So we can actually fix that by going into style, I believe typography, so click on this, and I think making the style normal, or let's see here. Oh, making the transform normal. We'll actually change this to actually match what I typed from my keyboard. So that's something you might want to do in the style section of your H1s or H2s, depending. You can also change, you know, the typography of this particular H1 or 2. I'm not sure if this is an H1 or 2, but you can actually change the text color of this one, the typography, text shadow, that kind of thing. You can add motion effects, different kinds of things in here. I wouldn't go too crazy in here, but there are some kind of interesting things you can look at. But that's kind of, and if we want to make it an H1, I guess it does default to being an H2, but we can make it an H1 if we want. We could change the size manually here, or we can change the alignment. Maybe I want it centered. So that's kind of just a really basic adding an H1 to a new section. And I'll push update to save that. So let's say that I really want to fill in this H1 area even more. I'm just kind of putting in dummy text here, so bear with me. So if I don't want this actually to span across my whole web page, and I want a little bit more white area on either side, which isn't a bad idea, we can actually change that as well. If we go into the section up here, clicking on that, and then go to content width. It's unboxed right now. We want to leave it unboxed. There's other options here, but we can actually change the content width. Maybe something around, 700. You can also manually change it 700 so that it's on 3 lines. That might work a little better for you, just depending on your site, but I just wanted to show you that you can kind of change the width of a column within the section that you create by going into this area here under content, under layout, content width. And we can also change the height, or not the height, but the padding basically. So the white space that is below and above our sections as well, by going in here and changing the height to min height. And it defaults to 400, which means there's 200 pixels here on the bottom, 200 pixels here on the top, but we can actually make this closer to maybe, I don't know, let's just say 300. And this is only going to be affecting this area. It's not going to affect our other H's, H2s on our website. And let's say we kind of want to add in another, so I'm going to update this. So let's say we want to add in another bit of text above this. So we'll go back into the stacked line menu, and let's just drag another heading into our section. Oh, that didn't work. Here, let me make sure that I have this kind of. Okay. So maybe I want it above. Sorry, this is above there. Sometimes it's a little finicky. You got to try a couple times. You start getting that blue highlight going. So I got my text in here. So I'm typing in this as dummy text. Maybe I want to center that too. Maybe under styles, typography, we want to make this all uppercase. And then maybe we want more spacing below this particular bit of text we put in, so we can go into advanced. There's actually a margin section here. So we can unlink this, because if it is linked, it'll put a margin all the way around this element, this bit of text that we just put in. But I just want it on the bottom. And so here's the bottom. So we can actually use this little arrow and start kind of changing that spacing in between here. There's also a padding section. You can experiment with that. You might want to unlink these as well. And you can experiment with what the padding does, if it's any different than the margin. This will move it over to the right because it's adding padding to the left. So, just be aware that you can adjust the margin and padding on things by going into the advanced section. So let's say maybe I want to add in an image underneath this area that we created. So let's just click here, add a new section. I want my image to go all the way across. So I'm going to do one column. And it created our section here. So we want to make sure that we have this kind of highlighted. And then come over here, and we do want to put a min height on this. Otherwise it won't show up. And let's just make the min height 500. I can also just enter it in manually. And that kind of will create a space for us to add in an image.